It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Let's get out of here. Aye. Hey everyone, it's Aaron from God a Minute. Some of this is new, some of this is old, some of this we just forgot, we need to be reminded. But there is about 12 reasons why I think 24 is cool. Pattern is prophecy, or prophecy is pattern, however you want to say it. We are in 2024, so I've got some connections for a potential 2024 departure. So if we look at the number 24 before we get going, we have a 2, a 0, a 2, and a 4. And so the second letter in the Hebrew alphabet is a bet, and the fourth letter is a dalet. And we're in 2024. A dalet is a door, a path, a way of life, movement into or out of. What side of the door are you going to be on when Jesus comes? And Jesus says that he is the door, and this is a way of life and a movement. And so that's dalet. And a bet is a tent or a house or the body or the household or a family inside within. So what side of the door are you going to be on in 2024? Are you going to be on the Jesus side, or are you going to be on the earth side? That's one thing. That's right away you see that off the bat. And you see in the number 4, you see a cross. If you just kind of take that red thing out, you see a cross. You see Christ. Christ is the door. Christ died for you. You cannot enter the kingdom without going through the door, without going through Christ. And so there you go. The sign of Christ right there in the number 24. So that's just really the first point before I even talk about everything else. The first point that I have on this paper is Jesus. I didn't realize this. This was emailed to me. And so thank you, D. Martini, for emailing that to me. Jesus is G2424. Oh, that's cool. So there's G2424. That's fun. That's really good. We are in 2024. And the second thing I wanted to mention is Revelation 4, verse 4. 24 elders. Not a huge deal, but you know what? 24 elders are in the throne room. That's fun. We won't be able to say that next year. But 24 elders. This is the year that we can say 24 elders. Okay, the third point is 1 Chronicles 24. This was a much bigger deal. Is that there is a list of 24 priests. And in the meanings of their names, you have the story of the rapture and the tribulation in sequential order of their names. I'll link Christie's video for that. Okay, so there's your 24 priests in chapter 24. And that is really neat. In the chapter before it, we see that there is 24,000 men that are responsible for taking care of the house of the Lord. 24,000 men responsible for taking care of the house of the Lord. Well, that is neat. In 1 Chronicles 27, we have another 24,000. It's the military division, and every month there's a new division of 24,000 responsible for that. So that's neat how all the numbers 24 are in there. Another Strong's number, indignation, is Strong's G24. Whoa. Is God going to pour out his indignation in 2024? Is Jesus, G2424, going to do his thing in 2024? Indignation. We're in the month of Abib right now. Abib is the first month on God's calendar. That happens to be H24 in Strong's. The eighth point on this paper is living. The word living or life is H2424. Are we going to have new life? New beginnings. Just like that dalet word. A way of life. A movement. Are we going to move on to a new life? A new way of life in 2024. That's the word in the Strong's. For Strong's H2424 is living life. Okay, here's some really fun stuff too. Psalm 24. Psalm 24 is a really great chapter. 2024, Psalm 24. And if we read here in verse 3 in particular, who may ascend? Who may ascend? Ascend means go up. Who may ascend into the hill of the Lord? Ignore my other notes. That's from probably years ago. But anyway, who may ascend into the hill of the Lord? Or who may stand in his holy place? He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who has not lifted up his soul to an idol. So we're talking about being in the presence of the Lord in his holy place in Psalm 24. Lift up your heads, O you gates, We must walk through the Duet to enter into the presence of the Lord. The door. 24? Really neat. So Psalm 24 is walking into the presence of the Lord. This next point, this is the 10th point, a really big point. Really, really, really big point. Psalm 124 is, some people think that that's related to 2024. I think that's a reasonable thing to say. And so Psalm 124 especially, verse 7, our soul has escaped as a bird from the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we have escaped. Okay, so the English reads as if there's an escape and we become like birds and we fly away. All right, so there's that. What we have here is, this is where the code is, the not Saul code is. So not Saul, the Strong's number for not Saul is 5337. I don't think I wrote that down. So here, I'm going to write this down right here. 5337. All right, that's not Saul. And what does not Saul mean? It means to essentially to escape, to release, deliver, escape, leap out, let alone, preserve, save, and speedily. So why do we care? The not Saul is a noon, a tzidi, and a lamed. That's in Hebrew. And you're not going to know the significance of that unless you go to the Hebrew. And here's the Hebrew interlinear Bible that I have. And you'll see not Saul spaced every 6 letters here. There's your noon, there's your tzidi, and there's your lamed, but it's spaced every 6 letters. So not Saul essentially means to be taken out or raptured. It's every 6 letters spacing within the verse that's talking about an escape in English. And then the actual word escape that's used twice is the Hebrew word malat. Malat. And that number is, I did write it down here, it's H4422. All right, so H4422. So we got a 24 and a 24 backwards. Okay, in that number there. That's fun too. But that's used twice. And there it is. And that's your mem. And that's your lamed. And that's your tet. And that's got a value of, looks like 79. But that means to escape and release and deliver and preserve and save and leap out and let alone. So the English talks about escaping twice and uses the Hebrew word malat. But then if you dig real hard into the Hebrew, the spacing between letters, you see a not Saul in there, which essentially means the same thing. It means the same thing. And so that's in Psalm 24. Small point number 11 is we have 24 hours in a day. You know, that's something. Okay. The biggest point, the last point, the 12th point. Ron Wyatt is a guy that apparently found the blood of Christ on the mercy seat. Apparently, according to his story, is that he found the blood on the mercy seat that dripped down from the cross and it went down on the mercy seat and he tested it. See, mom and dad, a normal person would have 23 chromosomes from dad and 23 chromosomes from mom, and that'd be 46 chromosomes. Well, according to Ron White's study, when they tested the blood that they found on the mercy seat, they found that, first of all, it was living, and secondly, that there was only 24 chromosomes, 23 from mom and 1 from the father, 1 from Yahweh. And so that is interesting that if this is true, the blood of Christ had 24 chromosomes, or I should say the blood of Christ has 24 chromosomes because it is living, if that study is correct. So the blood of Christ, which is the most precious thing that allows us to enter the Holy of Holies, if it had 24 chromosomes, it was found on the mercy seat in where the Holy of Holies is, where the high priest would be. And here we are in 2024. We're waiting to meet the Father, and we have all these 24 connections. So what do you think of that? I think this is cool. Again, when you see the patterns, you're like, okay, I see patterns. This is something to be excited about. I don't know what year Jesus will come, but I like these patterns. How about that? Let me know what you think. We are certainly one day closer. I hope to see you in the clouds very, 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 very soon. Until then, keep on telling people about Jesus. Adios, muchachos. Go, Jesus, go.